Welcome back. Well, today we are mourning the loss and celebrating the incredible life and career of perhaps our most famous cultural export ever, Barry Humphries, who's passed away overnight. And joining us now is someone who saw him from every angle, if I can say that. Barry's former manager, well, nearly every angle, former manager and promoter of 21 years, my dear friend Harley Metcalf. Thank you for coming in, Harley.
Morning. Sad day.
An emotional time. I imagine you haven't had much sleep.
A lot of thoughts.
And
Yes.
late night phone calls around the world, I would have thought.
Even the truck driver we used in America some 20 years ago, that's how close Barry got to everybody he worked with. He called me. Haven't heard from him for 15 years. He was like devastated.
Carl, his former PA, was sitting on a beach in Mexico drinking margaritas and just a few days ago thought everything was going to be okay. I mean,
Yeah, I had a lovely message from Carl this morning. He'll probably be here in the next couple of days.
It is an incredible outpouring of grief, but we need to remember the good times, the laughs, because what a contribution over so much time. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Barry. I'm sure there was never a dull moment.
Well, we spent a lot of time together on the road, months at a time in America, and what was a day with Barry Humphries? You'd be asleep, 6 o'clock in the morning, trying to get some rest, the phone would ring, the very dry tone, "You awake?" It's like, of course.
Yeah, right.
Been up for hours. Let's go for a walk.
Oh.
You go for a walk, have breakfast. No, you not say much, just the company. We might talk a little silliness. Barry was a great observer of people, and he'd sort of name people as you went by.
And endlessly interested in people.
Oh, unbelievable interest in people, how they spoke, what they wore, what they looked like. He delved into all those areas in a very comical way. And the reality is he was absorbing all this. You'd arrive in the city with Barry, you'd get in the limo, and he was straight into the driver. So tell me, who's out of favour? What are the scandals?
Tell me about Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah. Yeah, he delved into all that. He was researching all the time, all the time.
He could be ruthless on stage, as you know better than anybody. I mean, if he saw a senior or someone who piqued his interest, he could rip them to shreds.
You may not know this, but he had a little camera in the wings that he could go around the front 6 rows and zoom in on people. He knew who was married because they had a wedding ring. He knew who was sort of the body language, they've got a problem, or...
Is that your husband?
Yeah, absolutely. So he went on stage incredibly well researched, incredibly well researched.
And he loved that part of the show, didn't he?
Well, the thing is, what's the greatest thing about Barry Humphries? His comic timing.
Exactly.
You could play the Fox Theatre in Detroit, 4,000 seats one night, do a few shows there, and he knew the audience. He could read the audience, and he knew when to stop, when to start, when to deliver the line. The timing was amazing. And then a few nights later, you were in a 1,000-seat theatre, and things are happening much quicker, but he was right across that as well. I know it failed him once, Richard. We got a job in a place called Skanderborg, in Europe, and it was a beer festival. The most, we took it because it'll be fun, right? So he goes on stage, and you see, there is so much noise. It's like a rock and roll, a roar, constant roar, no stop, no start, no timing. He did his show in 25 minutes. Yeah. A 50-minute show in 25 minutes because there was no stop, no pause. He just steamed through it because the audience never stopped. He comes off stage and goes, "It's only 25 minutes. What do I do?" And I said to him, "Barry, do the show again. They can't even hear you." He went out and did another 25.
As his manager, you had to take the rap for him sometimes. I want to finish with that story when there was an accident.
Well, I was in the office early one morning, and I get an abusive phone call. This guy absolutely screaming down the phone at me, "You've smashed my car, you've smashed my car." And I said, "So I haven't smashed... What are you talking about? You've smashed my car, you've left your phone number under the windscreen." I'm like, "Well, what's the address?" And it was in Double Bay, and I knew straight away that Barry had left my phone number under this poor guy's windscreen.
There's a certain logic to that. You're my
Well,
manager.
yeah,
I think you
absolutely.
manage
Take
the
care of
detail.
it. But I had to tell you, my ear was ringing for a week. This guy was not happy.
Well, I think the tears will be flowing for a week.
Yeah.
Over this, Harley, thank you for coming in. Difficult day. We love to your
Very sad day for the Humphries extended family and all the people worldwide who loved him.
Who will be in touch, I'm sure, with Lizzie and the family, to whom we extend our deepest sympathies as well. Thank you again.
Now to our top story, and the world is mourning the loss of comedy icon Barry Humphries.
That's right. Nine Entertainment editor Richard Wilkins joins us now in the studio. Dickie, he put smiles on so many faces, but it is a sad day.
Well, it is. There's no getting around that. But we should be just eternally thankful to him for the joy that he brought to the world with his wry wit and his incisive comedy. I mean, he could say and do things that nobody else could possibly get away with. So, yes, it is sad, and we learnt that he was back in hospital after these complications from his hip surgery. But, you know, he always wanted to make people laugh. That was what drove Barry. Apparently in hospital, he was still cracking people up. He said, "Now I've got this new hip. You can call me Bionic Bazza." So, and you know, that must have taken a lot of energy, I think, for him. But just to keep people entertained, he was at the core of it a showman, and we should be very thankful for all of that.
We are all so familiar with the characters that he played, but you knew him well. What was Barry himself really like?
He's a beautiful, gentle man. In some ways, he's the opposite of Edna, you know, who could be just brutal. And, you know, the people in the audience who she'd pick on, you go, "Oh my goodness, this is just not going to end well." But it didn't really come from a malicious place, but it was pretty hardcore stuff. But Barry himself, I remember we have a party at home every sort of Christmas time, or Boxing Day or something. And I remember going to Woolies and picking up some last-minute things once. And there was Richard. "What are you doing here in the vegetable aisle?" I said, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, we just flew in from London." And I said, "We're picking up some things." And, I said, "What are you doing?" "Lizzie's off shopping." And so he was just sort of standing there mooching around. And I said, "I'm having some people over. Why don't you come over?" He said, "I'd love to." I said, "You know where the hell?" I've forgotten it. And he didn't know quite how to work his phone, but I called him, and he turned, I think he was the first to arrive, and then he spent the whole day meeting people at the front doors. "Hello, welcome, I'm Barry." And he was just eternally interested in other people. And at the end of it, he said, "I'm going to go now." I said, "Oh, good." "Do you want me to get you a car?" He said, "Oh, I'm getting a lift with one of those people over there." He was that was Barry, you know. He was just there, and he made ordinary people feel special, and special people feel pretty ordinary sometimes.
In a professional sense, you interviewed him countless times. I mean, you must hold those memories very, very close.
I was just going through some stuff on YouTube yesterday, and to be honest, I didn't realise some of the wonderful things that he actually said quite incisively. I must have interviewed him 20 or 30 times over the years. And I said to him once only, "Do you want to know what I'm going to ask you?" He said, "No." He said, I would have thought we'd give the tour a good mention, but other than that, let's just have some fun." This was one we did. We did a series of interviews for the Today Show, and we got a studio audience in, which was the smartest thing we did, because he just loved an audience. But let's have a little look at some for this interview with the great Barry Humphries. I want to talk to you about how you do what you do. I mean, when you're getting into one of your characters, let's say Edna, when you're putting the makeup on and what happens? Is there a moment when you go from one to the other, a switch clicks, or how does it happen?
When I'm sitting at the dressing table,
Okay,
and I'm transforming myself either into Les or Edna or Sandy or whatever I'm doing, there's the moment of, do I have to do this again? Why am I still doing this? Why can't I be having a swim or going or traveling or enjoying whatever else? Why must I be a slave to these people out there? You know, this theatre, uncomfortable, it's drafty, it's cold outside. I'm not feeling too well.
it's scary.
And it gets a bit scary. And then there's a point when instead of seeing myself in the mirror, I see someone else. You cross the invisible line, and I realize that I'm not having to do this anymore. I can go home. Edna's going to do the show.
When you're working, when you walk on stage sometimes, as Edna, let's say, you walk on stage in the outfit and the wig and the frock and the glasses and the whole thing. Does Barry Humphries ever say to himself, what the hell am I doing here?
No, no, no. I feel a strong sense of responsibility to my public. These people are there because they enjoy my work and they need cheering up. There is nothing nicer these days than being in the cheering up business. It's the best industry to be in. It's the one with the most future, too, I would have thought.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
That's, yeah.
Dickie, he famously said, never be afraid to laugh at yourself. You might be missing out on the joke of the century. It's so true, though, isn't it?
His quotes are the best, yeah, his quotes are... And he'd want me to give the tour a plug. That was a plug for his 2003 tour, Back to My Roots.
It'll be a sellout, no doubt, Dickie.
Oh, he'll be selling out upstairs there, that's for sure.
You sure will, Dickie. Thank you so much. We'll chat to you again soon.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.